Right, welcome back, guys. Now, as a maker, I kind of pride myself on being able to turn my hand to most things. So I don't like to fall in one bracket. As you've probably seen in my videos, the randomness, all different things. There's lasers, there's turning, there's resin, there's all sorts of things. What I'm interested in is learning new skills, and I'd like you to come along with me and help or learn with me. So that leads me on to this box here. So this company, Pop Sewing, reached out to me a while back and asked me whether or not I would like to have a look at one of their products. So I agreed. It's somewhat different, and I thought that you might enjoy it. I mean, I'm going to enjoy it. It's a challenge. Before we go into this box is a challenge. Let's make no mistake about that. It's not easy. And if you can finish what's in this box, maybe you can keep it, maybe you can give it away, but I think you'll learn, and I think you'll be happy with the outcome. Anyway, so I agreed. I says, yep, send one out to me, and I will do my best to have a go. So what we've got is, what this is a very upmarket leather handbag. Now, I chose this one from their website. There's loads of them. They've got vegan leather handbags and whatever. This is real leather, and it's really good quality as well. So I chose this one because my daughter, that is going to be having this handbag when I'm finished, likes to look at this one. So I says, right, go on the website, tell me which one you want, and then I will get that and I will make the video. And then at the end of the video, you get to keep the handbag, and she's happy with that. So anyway, so I went on the website, I chose which one, or she did. This took about 2 weeks to come from China, straight to my door, no problem. So, as you know, I'm totally transparent. If there's something I don't like, I will tell you. If there's something I do like, I will tell you that as well. Now, when this came, I opened this and I was expecting some kind of a booklet of the step-by-step on how to put this together. Am I in frame? There we go. What came was this piece of paper. So what you've got to do is, when you order, you give your email address. They then send a video link, a YouTube video link, to your email address for the particular bag that you're going to be making. You click on that, you go onto the YouTube, and you follow it through. I did that, and I found that the YouTube channel is a Chinese YouTube channel, obviously, and the person that is assembling this bag is Chinese, speaking in Chinese, I'd imagine. I'm not an expert, but there are subtitles. I worked my way through and I watched the whole assembly of this, and it took about, I don't know, an hour and a half, something. And it's quite, you can actually see on the video. I mean, there are bits of the video where they say, right, do this, do that, but that comes up in subtitles. But the rest of it, you can pretty much follow along. I watched it, and what I'm going to do before building this for you guys, I'm going to go back onto that YouTube channel. I'm going to make notes, because they talk a lot about thread lengths. So to sew a certain amount from there to there with the double stitch, you would need 4 times that amount or so, whatever they say. So that's what I need to go back through the website, and I need to write down my own kind of notes, so I can show you guys how this is made. So this particular bag is, I think it was £179 or something like that. The quality's there. I'm not disputing the quality is definitely there. I've had a little look at this when I opened it, and it's there. So what we're going to do, we're going to just have a little look through, and then we may talk about the different stitching that you're going to need to do on this bag. Sounds like a plan. Okay, right. So let's just start off with this small bag that you get. So this looks to me like the strap. Oh, it smells lovely. I love the smell of leather. I love it. Real leather. Not that fake leather that smells like chemicals. I mean, the strap, the hardware looks okay, actually. So that's my in shot. Yeah. So that's the strap. You've got the leather thread. This is really heavy duty. I like this. This looks like the sort of thread that you would sew jeans together with. It's proper hardy. What's it say? What's the sound there? So it's at like 0.55 mil. Okay, all right. That is what it is. So you get two of those. You get like, I don't know, what is this? I don't know. Maybe you can tell me what that is. Do you hang it on the bag at the end? I don't know. There's a little lock. There's some little finger johnnies and a key. Some little bits of hardware. I'd imagine that's the clasp. This is to hold your leather together when you're stitching. And then we have some leather needles. I mean, whenever I've done any leather work in the past, I've used larger needles. I'm not sure how big the holes are because this is all, it's all I wouldn't say pre-drilled, but it's got the holes in ready for you just to put your needle through. So you haven't got to puncture the leather, it's already done for you. I would personally use larger needles than that, but we'll see how we go with that one. So the main box itself. This is all of the leather, everything you need. Everything you need is in this box now. So, I mean, the quality's there. Oh, it's lovely. It's all burnished as well on the edges. Yeah, I like this. If I was to have a handbag, I would have something like this. I mean, the quality of this leather is absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Can you see that you've already got all of the holes to stitch everything together? This is the first part we're going to be working on. They've actually done this for you because it's obviously too thick to do yourself, and they've painted the edge or burnished or whatever they've done. I think this is the outside of the main bag. As you can see, yeah, it's good quality. What I did see in the video is the first thing you do. These here are really fake stitching. They do nothing. It's just decorative. So you go around all these first, just with the decorative stitching, and you do. I think you do these holes. I'm not sure about those. Those are for the actual stitching of the handle on there. Look. I'm not sure how long this is going to take me. I think that's the base. That must be the base, hadn't it? Because they would go there. Everything you need is here. This is going to be a bit challenging. This stuff, because of what I've seen on the actual. Where's that gone? on the YouTube video is, and this is why I say it's not easy to do, because you've got to stitch, you've got to put that in there. First of all, you fold it over. Then you have to, how can I explain it? Well, you'll see in a minute, but you have to stitch it like this, and when you've done that, you need to unfold the whole thing back out. Anyway, you'll see. So yeah, that's everything in there. All we need to do now is get on with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through the YouTube video now, and I'm going to have a little look, and we'll go through it together. Okay, so what I've done, I've got notes. So I've gone back on the video that was sent to me in the email, and I've started making my own notes, which I think is going to be a lot easier. Okay, right, so step one, we need to deal with these excess pieces of thread. And the way they tell you to do it in the video is to thread them back through the holes so that you come out here, and then cut them off and glue them. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. Right, so there you go. What I've done is I've literally just threaded those two threads back through, cut them off, and just glued them together. Wasn't sure if I meant to glue that much, but okay, that's it, done. Right, let me show you how you're supposed to do this. So we're going to start with this square here. Now, all these on the front are just decorative stitching. They don't really do anything other than if it's just decoration. So when you refer back to the video that they send you, this particular square here, they get you to measure your thread by 3 times the length of the flap. Okay, and a little bit more. Let's cut that. So that's 3 times the length of the flap. When we go to do these, they're saying you need to do 6 times the length, the peripheral of it, which is a bit weird. So why can't you do like 3 times the length of the wrap? That I don't know, but that's the way they say to do it. So that's the way we're going to do it. Right. Now, when it comes to actually threading your needles, when you're working with leather and this waxed thread, what you've got to do is thread your needle as you normally do, and then get your needle and thread it through the actual thread itself. Okay, so you end up with like this. Pull that through, and now your needle is not going to come off when you're threading it through. You do that on both sides because we're using 2 needles at a time with this. So there's our needles sorted. What we're going to do is going to find the center, and we're going to start with this square. Okay, so we've measured that 3 times the length of that. I'm going to go through the bottom in the corner. Okay, so that's the middle. So all we're going to do, it is very simple actually. All we're going to do is we're going to get the first needle, put that one out the way. We're going to go down, open wing shot, through the first hole, back up through the second hole, then back down again. We're going to work our way along to the end of this row. Right, so when it comes to to finishing off, all we're going to do is we're going to finish off our cut ends below. So we're going to go back through, okay, and then this one I'm going to go up and then back through again, just to finish it off, pull them nice and tight. Okay, now you can use a lighter or you can use the glue. I'm just going to flatten these off and just put a dot of glue, just literally a little dot right on the end of it, on both of them, nothing special. And just flatten them down. And there you go. That's one small piece finished. Now, I followed the measurements like they told me to follow the measurements. And I'm left with all this waste. So what we'll do is we will start the next ones and then we'll see what kind of waste I get, because I have a total of 14 of these to go around now. So there's 2 there, there's 2 there, two more there, 4 more there, and 4 there, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's 14 of these we need to do now. What I'll do is I'll measure this one and kind of work out how much thread I'm going to need for the others. That wasn't too bad, was it? You can barely see the stitching, but I think that's the point, really. It's quite a good match of the colour. I suppose if you was to do it with a different colour thread to contrast the green, it'd look pretty cool, but this is what I've got, this is what they sent me. So next up is these. There's 12 more of these. We're not going to do this bit here or these, just these ovals on everything else. So what I'll do is I'll crack on with that and I'll be back in a couple of hours, I suppose. So I started messing around with leather probably 10 or 15 years ago. And the problem you always have is holding the leather while you're holding 2 needles. For instance, this, I mean, holding that down, and it was just a pain in the arse. So anyway, so years ago when I started making leather things, and don't get me wrong, I'm no expert, but I'll have a go. So I saw this. I think it's some. I can't remember what it's called. I'll try and look it up, and I'll put some examples of it on the screen so you can search for them if you wanted one. But basically, all it does, it's got two pieces of ply that are kind of screwed together, and they're spring mounted just by the flex of the ply. And what you're meant to do is this goes underneath your knees when you're sitting down on a chair. Then this pokes up from between your legs. You put your piece of leather in there, and then you have a clamp. Sometimes you don't need to clamp it, but others you do. And it basically leaves your hands free to thread your needles. The correct way of threading a needle when you're working with leather is get your needle, you push it through, then you get your left hand needle, put it on top of your right as it's coming through, pull the thread through, and then the needle on top is ready to go through the hole again. Okay, does that make sense? There's loads of different. I just YouTube it. Like I say, I'm no expert. I've had a good go at it, and I can sew leather together. That's about all I can do. But if you want to get into it, then this kind of thing isn't a must. You don't need it, but to speed things up, make things easier, you sit there watching telly, whatever, while you're sewing your leather together. Sometimes you have to, for instance, when we get further along in this, we're going to have to hold pieces of leather together like this, and I think that this might be an easy way to do it. I'm not going to use this too much, because if you're going to be following along, you're not going to have one of these. Then it's unfair, really, and the video is not fit for purpose, really, is it? So I'm going to get the rest of these done. I've got another 12 of these small holes to do, as you can see. No, I haven't. I've got 8, 9, 10. I've got another 10 of these to do. I am going to use this just for speed, really, but you already know how to do it, so there you go. The next thing we need to do is finish this decorative stitch all the way around from one side to the other. Now, the way that we measure this, according to the official YouTube video, is we kind of lay it on top like this. Okay. Okay, so that's the length, which is 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 inches. Now we've got to times that by 4. So all we're going to do is literally same length. And then we'll give ourselves a little extra. Now, you would think that there would be, where's my scissors, a specific measurement that you would need for this, but I think it goes on the thickness of the material sorry, the thickness of the leather, the thickness of the thread. I don't know what. I mean, but I will say my experience with leatherwork and stitching is if you do get to this point here, or any point, and you run out of thread, you can literally do what we've done on the rest of them, and we go up and back through and then glue it, and then start off that same way you left off and just continue with new thread. You can't see really any difference really, but there you go. Right, let's get these needles threaded. I found that relatively easy, to be honest. The bits that I struggled with, because I've got great big sausage fingers, were these bits around the end, around these turns. The rest of it was pretty straightforward, and I just found that it was a lot easier for me just to do one section with the one just winding in and out, and then coming back and then grabbing the other needle and just following through. What I also found really helpful was a tiny little bit of talcum powder on your hands, not that you can see it, but because it helps to grip the needle. Now, when you're going through these holes, it's really easy. If there's any resistance when you're going through a hole, then you're not going through the whole hole properly, if that makes any sense to you at all. Once you go through with one side, it's really easy. Then when you go through with the other needle, where there's already thread through the hole, it still goes through easy. There shouldn't be any resistance. If there is resistance, then you're digging into the inside of the hole rather than through the hole. If that makes any sense to you, then then hopefully that will help. Now, what I did was I went round this, measuring it like you said earlier, and then I times that by 4, but I've still come out with a good 40 inches of excess thread. Now I can use this thread, but for now I'll just put it aside. If I get to the very end and I'll find that I'm running out of thread, then at least I've got this left over, and I think they give you more than enough thread to deal with this bag, to be honest. I mean, they can't expect total amateurs like me to not make any mistakes. I mean, you can see here, these are all the offcuts from the needles. Anyway, right, let's tidy this mess up a little bit and then we'll move on. So next step is the base. I don't know if you can see this, but these are little rubber protectors for the feet. So these are the feet. So they've got to go on there like that. Apparently you need 8 times this length. Well, that was a challenge. Once I lined the front of this part up here, I thought I'd just go all the way around with the half of the thread to make sure it's all in its place, and then I followed around with the other half. But when I was going around with the other half, the further I went along, the tighter it was getting. Maybe you'll know that reason that was happening, I don't know, but it was getting tighter. What I had to do is put the needle in and just give it a little bit of a jiggle, and then the needle went through okay. What did help was the talcum powder on my hands. Every now and again I put a bit more talc and I can pull the needle through. If you've got any moisture on your fingers, it's hard to pull something that is metal. Do you know what I mean? When there's any resistance there. So that's that one done. I did come short by 1/2 of a stitch. As you can see, it's stitched there, but I just couldn't, I come short. I must not have had the needle halfway, but anyway, this one I will make sure I add another, I don't know, 4 inches onto the length. So it'd be 8 times that plus another 4 or 5 inches. Right, I'll come back when I've got this one done. And just like that, there you go. That's done now. That's the base sorted. The second time round, this one was a lot easier than that one, to be honest. Right, what's next? Right, that's done. I actually made a mistake. So I did this one last night, and then I went out this morning, did my shopping and things like that, come back and then put this one on, but I put it on the wrong way around. So I had to unstitch it from that point here. I'd gone all the way up. So I unstitched from there across, flipped it upside down, and then re-stitched it. So that's that bit done now. Okay, moving on. Now this is a bit confusing in the video itself. I had to watch it a few times to really understand it. So this is an internal pocket, I believe. You've got a straight edge and then you've got a slightly curved edge. If you can see that. That should match up with that curve there, which it does. Cool. Now it's not, you have to fold this over to create an inside pocket. But what it doesn't say on the video, it's not that clear. It says that this should be 1.5 to 2 centimeters distance from there to there, with the curved end on top. But what I've done is I've paused the video and I've actually counted the holes. So it is actually 1, 2, 3, 4. It's that 5th hole that we need to line up like that, and then the same this side. And then what you do is once you've lined that, and I'm going to need to use a needle, I think, to make sure that we've got one. No, that's not the one. See, nearly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to get my little. Where is it? Where's my little clasp? Okay, somebody's stolen it. So then we need to work our way across here, and these two need to line up at the very end there, because that's where we're going to start stitching from. Bit awkward, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that should be it now. All those should line up. Let's make sure. So she on the video, she stitches from this side down and then continues around. So I want to make sure that I've actually got everything lined up. So that'll go in that 5th hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's our 5th hole. I'm going to pop another needle in, make sure everything lines up, which it doesn't look. So it's that one there. If you're going to make a mistake, this is where I think you will make it, by not lining this up correctly. Right, so what we've got to do, our measurement of our thread is 4 times that and 4 times that. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll give a little bit extra for a bit of leeway. Right, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we've come up with this needle, this thread, out of the hole. We're going to leave that across there for now. But this one, we're now going to use this to stitch this singly. So we're going to go down into our hole, our last hole. Okay. We're going to come up and up and then we're going to come back up and just go back on ourselves as if this is the other needle. Okay. Back through that hole there, and then we're going to come through that hole there. Okay, so then we continue to sew along here as we've been doing along there, but we're not going through 2, we're just going through 1 now. Bit tricky. It took me a couple of times to figure it out from the video, but if you just watch carefully, you can actually see it is quite simple, to be honest. So I went all the way along there to that point, then I used the single thread to stitch up to there and then back again, and then double all the way down to here, and then the longest one of the 2 I stitched up and then back again, and then worked my way down. I got to somewhere around here and my thread got all like twisted up and broke. So I threaded a new one, and I thought what I'd do is I'll just join it, but I couldn't see where my join was there. So what I did in the end was the original thread that was coming from here, there was enough to then start going back through the opposite holes from there to there, which worked out okay. So that's the inside pocket done. The other thing about this inside material, it's really soft. It's 2 pieces of leather, and then there's something that's in between to give it some sort of strength, but it's really soft. Look, it's quite malleable, and if you pull too hard, Or what you can actually do is, because it's soft, you can poke a new hole in the wrong place. So if you look around here somewhere, I think I may have poked a new hole. I think it's there. Look, if you look at that thread, that stitch there, can you see that? That little stitch there, see, it's off. And I notice there's another one down here. It is quite easy to poke a new hole. Anyway, we don't do the top yet because we've got to stitch it into the main bag. So, right, let's move on. Right then, okay, so we lead on to, in the video, she spends a minute or so going on about which way round to put these, because if you don't put them the right way around, you get wrinkled leather. But I can't see there's any difference at all, to be honest. I mean, that's in the center. That's not on the... They're both the same. Oh well, okay, let's just crack on. Right, I'm not going to lie, that was difficult. So, it turned out that there was 2 extra holes, as you can see there. I was starting, going by the video, I was starting at the top hole, and I was working my way around, and on 3 attempts, I got to the end here, and the point wasn't lining up. So I figured out, obviously, I counted the holes, on this, and it turns out there was 21. So I had to ignore those 2 holes at the top. And once I did that, I just cracked on and got all 4 complete. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is not an easy project that you can just pick up and expect to do easily, if that makes any sense to you. I have got experience working with leather and sewing, but saying that, you don't need experience. You just need to take your time, and I say follow the instructions, but the instructions that this Pop Sew I've got online are not that great. So you kind of like, there's parts of it where there's subtitles across the bottom of the screen. It is quite difficult if you can't understand Chinese. So you've got to kind of work it out for yourself. Saying that, the quality is really good. The leather, the inside parts of the leather are really soft. The outside are flawless. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, it's quite good. Anyway, let's crack on. I'll talk about that at the very end. So the next part we need to do is, which one is it? It's this one. So we've got to start sewing the panels on the sides now. So the way that it's telling you to do this on the video that I've deciphered is, so the outside pieces are together, inside on the outside, that makes sense. Now you get this boning, this plastic boning that you've got to cut to size, and you get these, I can't remember what these are called now, but the boning goes inside there, and then you stitch through all 4 layers. And once you've stitched through all the 4 layers all the way down and around and everything, you got it all done, then you fold the bag inside out. But this is the tricky part that I'm trying to work out from the video. So what it's saying is the first 2 holes have got to be folded over like so. It's fiddly. And then you have to stitch through to seal them off like so, at the same time as having it, so it's going to be more like, let's just go through there and then through there and then through there. No, sorry, I got that wrong. So you've got to fold them over like that and then fold like that. How the hell am I going to do this? So it might be worth me going through there, and then through there. Oh man, this is going to be difficult. Yeah. How does that work there? She makes it look so easy on there. Really easy. But it's not. I'm going to tell you that now. How the fudge. Okay, so I think I need to get some thread on this, basically. So that needs to be folded like so. So that when the boning is up inside, it doesn't poke out. So it kind of gets trapped in there like that. Anyway, I'm going to thread the needle, and then we will start seeing if I can actually achieve this. First thing we need to do is go through this top one, get our needles the same length. Okay, line our panel up, and apparently we've got to go over the top of this one now. Okay, join them together like so. Right, okay, so that's got to be cut to that length. So if I understand the video correctly now, I need to fold this down off. Pass that through the first hole. Then I've got to go through these two. And then back out of that one. Okay, right. That makes total sense now. So basically we've just gone through one. Oh, let's just poke that through there. What they should have done is stuck those in there, I think. Oh my God, I'm making a right mess of this, aren't I? Maybe I can put that there, just to hold that. Okay. So the boning goes in. Like so. Okay. That makes a little bit of sense. And then we follow our holes. I don't think this is going to be a fast process, but I think once you get it started, like at the beginning, this bit here, once that's started, I think it'll be a bit easier. Okay. And then what do? Do we get our bone in and put it in now? Or do we slide it in at the end? I'd imagine we put it in now. We need to cinch that down. Now, when we turn this over, if I keep a bit of pressure on, we should end up with that, like that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, right. Wish me luck, guys. Right, I'm going to continue this and then I'll be back. That was tough going, but once I got the hang of it, it was okay. It was just this little bit at the end that was a little bit fiddly for my big sausage fingers. But when you get to the end, you don't have to repeat that. You just go straight off and then you kind of just finish it off, just folding it over. But should we have a little look what it looks like when we unfold it? Oh, look at that. Pretty nice, isn't it? The boning in there. So yeah, I've just got to do that another 3 times now. So I'm not going to expose you to that kind of abuse. So I will get it done and then I'll be back in a minute. Right then. Okay. So we've finished that, or I finished that. It took ages. It took a couple of hours for me to get that done. There's a lot of stitching. So we started off with the one side and then just moved our way around until we're totally finished. So it is actually, that's the base, the outside of the bag. Right, next step is to sew the base in. Now it's pretty similar to what we've just done with this piping and the bone in there. So the bottom's going to look similar to this. It's pretty straightforward. So again, we pop that in face to face, and then we literally contain all my bits and pieces. But there's no folding of this time. All we do is, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a large hole there, and there's a large hole on the base. So we just go to the right side of that larger hole, and then we start off 2 down from this one. We go to the right side of that hole, find our center, and then we just start working our way along like we did with this. Really easy. Right, so, oh my god. So I've gone all the way along to this corner. This corner was incredibly difficult. Really difficult. As you can see, you've got to manipulate it so that you work your way around stitch at a time, one stitch at a time. It's the only way that I can see it can be done. I did have a problem with the thread. Sometimes it starts to fray like this, but from further along, like the actual thread itself. Look, I don't know if you can see a difference in those two. You can't really, but anyway, I managed to get round the corner. As you can see from the inside, it's looking quite nice. That's it for me now. I've had a couple of days on this. That's it for the night. Anyone that knows me and knows the problems I have with this, I have no feeling at all on the end of this thumb. So it takes me a little bit longer, but I get it done. I've just got to put extra pressure, and because I can't feel anything, I have to really squeeze things to make sure that it's being held. So my hands are aching. I'm going to give it a rest for tonight now, and then tomorrow I'll come back and finish it off. But looking good. I didn't think I'd ever get around that corner, but I did. In the end, it's solid. Really good quality. Good quality bag this is going to be. Anyway, see you tomorrow. Well, for you it'd be like a second. Right then. Oh, right. Okay. So that took me quite a while to do, purely because on the video on YouTube, it says to stitch these corners in such a way that it confuses you. As you can see, that one was perfect in the middle. This one was off a little bit, and then this one was off a little bit more, and then off a bit more. And what happened is when I got round to here, I had 4 holes too many on this piece compared to that piece. So I had to unpick all the way back round to here, and then lose 2 holes there on the outside, 2 holes there on the outside, which then brought this in to the right place. It was like there was 4 holes in a loop. It was just ridiculous. It was quite hard. It was hard going, but what I found is as you're going along, you leave it open, thread a few through, and then cinch them together. This is talcum powder to get a grip on the needles. If you don't use talcum powder, what I did is I put it in an old pair of gloves, and then I just every now and again to dry my hands properly so I could grab the needles. That's what I did anyway. So next step, which is going to be a bit difficult, is to turn this the right way out. Now on the video it says that you start with the corners, which we're going to do now. Let's see how easy this is. We'll start with the corners and flip them out. The right way. If your stitching isn't up to scratch, this is when you're going to start to have it come apart on you, I'd imagine. It says to push them all out, the corners, and then from the inside, that is, start to form. We've got to snip those off, look. Start to really manipulate the leather, which, to be honest, wasn't that hard. It's not that hard, look, it's quite easy to do that. Start bringing it all out. If you've missed any stitches, you'll see them right here. Thankfully, it doesn't look like I have missed any. Okay, that looks okay. That looks all right. Why is that way around? Oh, I see. God, I panicked then. I was thinking, why is that inside? Why is that inside? But it isn't. It actually goes over like that. Oh my God, my heart stopped then for a second, because that would have been bad. I would have given up, because it would have meant unstitching all this, everything. Anyway, right. So these parts now, you've got to kind of wave them through like this, back through there, back through there, and pull them tight, like so. Okay. In fact, no, we can't do that yet, can we? We've got to put the flap on the inside. So that's got to go on the inside first. and stitched on. Right, that's the last step, is that really. Yeah, stitch that on there, and then we'll put it together, shall we? Right, it literally is just stitching along there. I'll be back in a minute. Righty then, so I've just stitched the pocket in and I've finished the decorative stitching around the sides there. Okay, last thing to do now is just thread these belts through. And get that through there. Okay, pinch that together like so. Okay, so we've got these little, what is that there? Got these little brass things go on the end of it, and what you've got is they're kind of laid out at the top. They just push on to the leather. Oh, you know what? I've done that wrong, haven't I? Because that flap there, I bet you were laughing at me, weren't you? Oh, look what he's done. That flap there's got to go like that. Then that goes in there. That goes in there, and then we get our lock. So the secret key goes through there like so. Pops out. Let's take that blue stuff off. Don't think that blue stuff is supposed to be on there. Well, it is just to protect it, I suppose. And there we go. These little plastic things got to come off as well. You know what? I'm happy with that. Right, well there you go, it's done. And it looks absolutely stunning. Actually, it looks really good quality. But first, there's a few things that I want to touch up on that I will actually feed back to Pop Sew or Pop Sewing. So the whole process, the ordering process is simple. You go on the internet, you go on their website, you order what you want. You chuck it in the basket, and then when you've chucked it in the basket, you've paid, then they send you an email with an instructional video on how to put this together. What I would like to have seen is an actual instruction manual. So if you don't have access to a computer or something like that, or you've bought this as a gift for someone, they're not going to be able to put it together unless they watch that video that Pop Sewing has put on their YouTube channel. The video itself for this particular bag, I don't know about any others, but this particular bag is quite hard to understand. Obviously, my first language is English, and the actual video itself is in Chinese. There are subtitles, but the subtitles are few and far between. There isn't one consistent flow of subtitles explaining everything that this person is saying. So there are parts of it when she's pointing and saying things that I feel may be important pieces of information. Well, we can't understand. I can't understand that. You may, but I can't. So I had to kind of re-watch the video, stopping it every now and again and skipping back and forwards, and just try to mimic what she's doing with her hands. I found that irritating, and there were a few mistakes I made on this bag that could have been prevented, so I'll share that with them. There is quite a lot of waste, to be honest. I mean, when they say measure 5 times from there to there, and then you end up with like that much left over, I think that could be worked out a little bit better. Although they do send you 2 of these rolls, I've used 1 and probably under a quarter. So there's a load of that left over. So if you do make mistakes like I did, you're going to have a little extra. The tools are okay. These are very flimsy. I try to use these as much as I can. But what happened is the bit in the middle there. Oh, let's get in camera. This bit in this cheap metal in the middle bent, and I had to keep bending it back and holding them together. They're not the same as the ones that the lady's using in the video. I mean, that's a clip. Needles, I would like to have seen the needles a bit longer, to be honest. The lady in the instructional video, her needles are about this long, which I would expect to see, you know, using leather. But I wanted to use the needles that they supplied, so you can get kind of an understanding of, or I can get an understanding of how hard or easy it's going to be. So if I ever do this again, I'll use my own needles that are twice this length. I mean, and the thread itself, if I get you a piece of like this, so that's the thread. You can't really see it. That's the thread. But if you can see the one to the left side of it, it frays. And a lot of the time I was actually, not too much time, I was having to unthread and thread more, you know, stop where I was, back stitch, glue it, and then put a new piece of thread in there. And then obviously this is the boning that's left over. They could have done that better. They could have measured it properly. Failing that, I only had a couple of real problems. So when I was stitching the underside of it, what I deciphered on the video was that you had to, when you got to the corners, you had to miss a stitch, or go over that's it, miss a stitch. But that wasn't the case. I got to here and I had like 4, as you can see on the video earlier on, I had 4 holes that were not supposed to be there. I fixed it. I went back, unstitched all the way round to this point and restitched it. So that's the things that I'm not too keen about. So the good things about this bag is the quality. The quality of the leather is really good. Got a little mark there. What's that little mark? The quality of the leather is really good. It's 2-ply, I believe. So you've got leather on the outside, then you've got probably a synthetic leather on the inside that's soft to the touch. Once you've done all the stitching, it is actually a lovely bag. Well, that's what I didn't mention a minute ago. If you do make this bag, make sure you leave 2 holes at the top there, because there isn't enough of these holes corresponding to the holes in this. So that done my head in a little bit. But saying that, it is actually a lovely project. I'm hoping that pop sewing kind of take my feedback and produce a better video in English, I think. I know we can't expect everybody in the world to speak English, but if you're going to be selling it to the English speaking people with an instructional video, well, I think it should be in English. If you're selling it to German people, you'd put it in German. But there's the bag, nice soft inside. See those 2 holes there? Those 2 extra holes? That's what foiled me for about an hour. But yeah, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process. It hurt my hand a little bit because of obviously my thumb, the lack of feeling in my thumb. So I tend to have to hold needles a lot harder than you would normally. I am ambidextrous as well, so a lot of it I did do with my left hand, but you need both hands to do this, to be honest. But there you go. Right, I think my daughter's going to like it. I'll leave all the links to where you can buy this actual bag from. I'll leave links to Pop Sewing website where you can have a look. They do all sorts of stuff. They do bags, and they do wallets and things like that. So there's stuff for men on there as well. So there's all sorts of stuff. It's worth checking them out. You can have them made for you when you order. You can order the kit, or you can actually order it pre-made for you. So if you like the idea of this bag and you don't want to make it, then order it made. You have to pay a little extra. But yeah, overall I'm happy with the quality. The quality's there. Just the support of actually helping you along building it. And don't get me wrong, when I said in the beginning this isn't easy, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. You have to put some thought into it. It's a long process. It is a long process. So, but saying that, I would recommend you buy one, give it a go. If you've never done this sort of thing before, you might actually like it. I did. I enjoyed it. And I think my daughter's going to like it as well. Right, thanks for watching, guys. Head over to the Beard X16. That's what their homepage, the page looks like there. Hit that subscribe button. Give me a few likes, give me a few comments and shares and that sort of thing. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.